Miss Flavia, and today I will be talking to you about effective learning strategies and how we can help our students use those strategies. My name is Dr. Flavia Belham. I am a science teacher and I also have a PhD in cognitive neuroscience, so that's why I'm talking about that topic today. This is my Twitter handle in the middle there, Flavia Belham PhD. Please do get in touch, follow me, I'll follow you back, and we can carry on with the conversation later. And my email is also there, flavia@seneca.io. Feel free to get in touch to request any extra resources, any papers that I mentioned. I have the copy, so I can send that to you. And if you have any questions, also, please do get in touch so we can talk a bit more about this topic after the conference. I also am part of the project called Seneca Learning. So on top of being a teacher, and working with cognitive science, I'm also part of this project, which has the mission of providing free quality education to every child in the world. So what we did was to create a virtual all free platform that is based on cognitive neuroscience and that really helps to optimize students' learning by using those effective learning strategies. And at the same time, we provide tools for teachers to help them understand and track students' progress and then be able to differentiate in a unique way between homework and classwork and teaching for each of those students. So we work with helping students learn better and helping teachers teach better as well, all for free. You can get to know more of a project at that website on the screen, senecalearning.com. But then in the end of the presentation, I'm also going to talk to you a bit more about that and explain how that works. Okay, so going back to effective learning strategies, what are they? They are the strategies that, according to research, like randomized controlled trials, school interventions, lab studies, replication, peer review, they are the ones that we know work better than the other ones. So that's why we call effective learning strategies, are the ones that are science-based, evidence-based, and not just guessing. I always select 4 of those strategies because I think they are the most important ones, but there are also other ones, and I'm going to mention a few articles that you can download. They're all free, so you can read about the other ones that I'm not mentioning here. All right, so the first one is retrieval practice, and that's the idea that if you actively bring something back to mind, that information becomes stronger in your memory and it's easier for you to learn that and then to use that to learn something else in the future. So in the case of our students, retrieval practice would be the opposite of sitting in bed and reading a textbook over and over again. So reading would be a passive way of trying to memorize things, and retrieval practice is the active way. So what is it? Answering questions, solving problems, doing the math, doing the calculations. They can use flashcards, like it's on the screen. Flashcards are a good way. You read the question, you try to solve it, you try to remember the answer, and then you flip just to make sure you are correct. You get past papers, so if you download papers from previous exams, the students can get to try and answer those questions, explain how and why. So while a student is studying, instead of just trying to remember what, how, when, and where, they can really try to explain to themselves why something happens, how something happens. They can try to explain it to other people, to their parents, to their siblings, and also study groups. So one student can ask the other student questions and then vice versa. So the idea is that the more you are retrieving information, you are bringing the information back to mind, the more that information creates connections to other information, and the more you're able to remember, to learn that for real, and to remember that. I like to use this analogy here, which is a maze. And if you think about the entrance of the maze as a question or a topic, and then the exit as the correct information regarding that topic, if a student's always reading the same book over and over again, the same notes over and over again, there's only one path that leads them from the entrance to the exit. But if they are using retrieval practice, answering questions, trying to explain things to different people who will have then different questions to ask them, then they create more and more paths. So it's easier to go from the entrance to the exit. So that's how I see retrieval practice working, and I think it's the most important strategy for your students to use. The other one are actually 2 in 1, and they are spacing and interleaving, and that's nothing new. We've known about this since 1855, 1885. It's covered here, but 200 years. And the idea is that you have to revisit topics to be able to remember them and learn them. Even if your student gets 100% correct, in an exam or in a quiz today, it doesn't mean they're going to remember that. You have to revisit that topic over and over. So this graph here, the forgetting curve, shows that when you learn something, you're going to take 1 day for you to forget that 20% of that something. But if you revisit that, it's going to take you 2 days to forget 20%. If you revisit that again, it's going to take you 3 days. So the more you go back and re-study past topics, the more it takes you to forget, which means the more you're learning that topic. All right, so the idea is that students should be spreading out study sessions, switching between topics, and then always the most important thing, revisiting past topics, past lessons. So instead of saying, that was unit 1, I'm done with it, never going to study it again, I've done the quiz, I'm done. It's about revisiting and then trying to connect unit 1 with unit 2, with unit 3, and so on. And the last one is dual coding. And that's the idea that if you combine words with visual elements, it makes it easier for your students to learn the content. So diagrams, mind maps, colors, timelines, anything that you can do to mix words with visual elements makes it easier for the brain to process that information and for the students to remember them in the future and to connect the content to something else that they're studying, which always helps to create connections and makes the information even stronger in their heads. So this is one of the articles that I mentioned that have other strategies. So these are the 4 ones that I think are the most important ones, but there are others. So this one, if you just Google strengthening the student toolbox, you're going to find that PDF. It's really great. It really shows, I think, 10 strategies based on how much research is there about each of them. And then principles of instruction. Also, if you look for that on Google, you'll find it's published on the same journal, the same magazine. And you can also find 10 principles that really help your teaching and help their learning, and all based on research and evidence. Okay, so we have that information. As teachers, a lot of teachers know about those strategies. We have papers. There's only 2 of them that I mentioned, but there are several papers, blogs, groups, mailing lists of teachers discussing those effective learning strategies. But do students use them? So that's the question that I wanted to answer in this talk. And the answer is no. Students do not use effective learning strategies. So there's a paper in 2009. Again, I have all of those PDFs. I can send them to you if you get in touch with me. In 2009, the only 11% of the students that they interviewed were using retrieval practice. In 2007, Cornell and Bjork showed that only 16% of students were using testing to enhance learning, which is also using retrieval practice. And then 2017, there was shown that only out of the students who knew what they should be doing, so out of the students who knew retrieval practice, dual coding, spacing, interleaving, 34% of them were still not using them. So even when they know what strategy works, they still don't use them. So why? Why is it that students are not using effective learning strategies? And there are 3 main reasons based on my research and my literature reading. One of them, the first one and probably the biggest one, is that effective strategies are unknown. So students just don't know. Students have been forever studying by reading books, highlighting and reading again, and highlighting and reading again, and copying from one place to the other. That's all they know. That's what they keep doing. So one of the conclusions from Karpik, from the 2009 paper that I mentioned, is that students are not aware that retrieval practice enhances learning. So educators should inform students about it and relate that to research. So it's our job as teachers to tell students what kind of strategies are there, which ones are based on research, which ones are proven to work, and which ones are not. Okay, so there's a quote that I like really much, a lot, by Megan Sumeraki from The Learning Scientists. I also recommend you Googling The Learning Scientists. They are really great, and they have lots of resources for teachers and for students, all based on cognitive neuroscience. So what she says is, by the time students arrive at college, they should be expert learners, as most will have been in school for 13 years. However, college students are largely unable to select effective learning scenarios and apply those to their independent learning. So if somebody has been doing a job, the same job for 13 years, you expect them to know the right techniques to do the job. But students have been in school by the time they get to college for 13 years and they still don't know how to study. So something's wrong. We're not really teaching them, and we should be teaching them how to study correctly and effectively. The second reason is something called Delusion of Competence. You can read more about that on that paper there. That's the idea that when you are studying with the question and with the answer, it makes you overestimate how much you understand. So imagine that your students are learning by reading the textbook, all the information is there on that page. So when they're like, oh, I know that, I already understand that, they're actually overestimating because they can see the answer. When they are studying with retrieval practice, which is only the question and they have to figure out the answer, then it feels like they're learning less. But in reality, that's when they know how much they're learning. So there are papers that I can send you that show that when students study by reading and by being tested, they overestimate how much they're going to remember the information in the actual test when they are reading, and they correctly estimate that when they are being tested with retrieval practice. So it feels like using retrieval practice is less efficient when it's actually the other way around. And then the third strategy is that those good strategies, the third reason is that those strategies are time consuming and they are harder to make. So if you think about a student that has all those subjects to study, has several exams, has their own lives to live, um, planning study sessions weeks ahead is harder than just cramming the night before. Creating mind maps, which would be using dual coding, for example, is harder than just copying from the book and writing on your notebook. And answering questions is harder than just reading the book. So main reasons why students don't use effective learning strategies, they don't know them. If they know them, it feels like they don't work, and they also harder to make, to do. So how can we help those students? First thing, like I said before, is we teach them, we tell them the different strategies, we show them research behind them, and we say this one works, this one doesn't work, try that, don't try that. These are a few YouTube videos that you can look for, and they explain very well in a very nicely student-friendly language the different strategies and why they work and why they don't work. And I also wrote a couple of years ago an article on a blog on how to create a revision timetable. So you can also, there's several nice resources online. I can send you some by email or Twitter. And then if you share those with your students and you actually teach them how to study, you're going to be doing them a great favor. And then the second thing that we can do is to make our classroom effective. So make our classroom evidence-based. So I brought a couple of suggestions here of things that you can do in your classroom to help students understand how good it is to use those effective learning strategies. One of them is by Blake Harvard, who is the effortful educator. He is in Alabama, I believe. He's a great blog. Definitely recommend you checking out. And he suggests this here, which all you need is a paper, pen, and some highlighters. And then the idea is that you ask students a question. They have to answer that question without checking any notes, any books, anything. And they highlight what they write in yellow or pink in this case. And then they go and they check the books and the notes and they ask you something. And then they complement the questions, the answer, and highlight that in a different color. So they can see how much they remembered by themselves and how much they had to check. And then a week later, you do the same thing again. You ask them the same questions. You ask them to answer without not checking, and then they will compare how much pink and how much yellow they have. So this strategy, this technique is really great because one, you're using a bit of dual coding because you have color-coded information. You're using a lot of retrieval practice because you're getting students to answer questions. And you're also using interleaving and spacing because you are revisiting topics that were taught a couple of weeks ago instead of just moving on with the curriculum. Okay, so this is a great strategy and really easy to do, very low budget, but works really well. And the other one that I wanted to show, Kate Jones, she usually uses a PowerPoint with a projector, but you can also do that on a piece of paper. It's a challenge grid. So she has all those questions about different topics and they are color-coded. And depending on how far behind in the semester or the term or the year that topic was taught, more points the students get if they get the answer correctly. So for example, here, the questions in blue are worth 1 point because they were covered last lesson. questions in red worth 2 points because there was something taught 2 weeks ago. And then green is 3, and then purple is 4. So the idea here is that you use retrieval practice because students have to answer those questions, and you're also using spacing and interleaving because you are revisiting things from 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks ago, and you are interleaving, mixing those with something else. So you're going to be asking questions about that topic and about the other topic and about the other topic, and that is part of what cognitive science says that really helps students to understand that information. And then the last thing that we can do, because one of the reasons students don't use effective learning strategies is because it's hard for them, it's just too much work. What we can do is to give them tools to make that easier. And that's why one of the reasons why we created Seneca. We started our project. Again, senecalearning.com if you want to get to know us a little bit more. And I'm going to show you what it does, really. So I'm going to go on the website and show you how our platform works. So this is the main page here, again, senecalearning.com. So if you're a teacher, you can literally go on, create your free account, and you're going to get on the platform. So this is what it looks like. This is the teacher platform. You get to create classes. Very important thing is that all of these that we created is compatible with Google Classroom and Schoology. So if you use any of those two platforms and also Microsoft Teams, you can connect Seneca to those, so you don't even have to stop using them. It's really just something else for you to use together with the platform that you already use. So it's really great. So you get here to this page, you can start your classes. So let's say you are teaching earth sciences, and then literally just follow the steps on the screen. First thing, add courses. So we have divided by level, subject here. So let's say you are teaching high school, add courses, and then add assignments. I'm going to show you how the assignments work, but basically you have all of the topics here, and all you have to do is select the ones that you want your students to complete, assign, give the name, let's call it assignment 1, start date, due date, and create. And then the last step is to send those assignments to your students. When you go here, add students, and that's when it gives you the classroom and the Teams options. So you can literally, if you click here, I'm not going to do it now, but if you click here, it's going to open your Google Classroom account, and all you have to do is set assignment, and it automatically connects and links the assignment that you selected to their Google Classroom. So really easy to do. And then when you are doing this, and the more students answer the questions, it automatically marks all of their work and then shows you a detailed report about each student's progress. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. No, that one's not working. It's this one that I wanted to show you, that I have some students to show. So if you go on best score, select session, this is what it looks like. So you get to see for each student and for each topic here how much they got on their assignment. So like I said before, our idea is to help students learn better and help teachers' lives by making it easier and giving them even more information about their students. So you get to see here, these are all fake names, by the way. I'm not really showing you my students' real information here. You can see the students' names and then how much they got for each topic, and it's all color coded. So it's really easy for you to see who's doing well, who's not doing so well. You can select best score, worst score, more recent attempts, number of attempts, number of time, total study time on the platform. So it gives you all of this really, really useful information without you having to mark all of that one for one. You don't even have to create the assignments actually when you're using this. You just select, and then in real time, students answer and you get to see their grades almost in real time. So it's really, really useful. And again, you can send those assignments via Google Classroom or other platforms that you're already using. Okay, so that's the idea of the teacher platform. It helps you to set assignments much more effectively, and it helps you to track students' progress a lot easier and with more details than you would be able to do manually without spending hours and hours of extra work, of evening work, of weekend work doing it. Okay, so let me show you how the actual resources work. So if you go here on student platform, then like I said, you get to choose the subject, the standard here. So we have a few of them. Let's do my subject, which is biology. Let's go here for biology middle school, for example. Want to show you how it works. The methodology is pretty much the same for all of the subjects. So this is how it works. You have all the content here listed on the left. Let me move my face away. You have all the resources here on the left. And then when students are studying by themselves, they can simply select what they want. Let's see, mammals, start learning, and then they get to see the questions. And also, if you set them an assignment, it will be shown here. So we say all of the assignments, so they can wait until you set an assignment, literally click here, start, and then they get to do the questions. So let me show you how it works. The content, the assignment, the activity, it starts with a quick summary of what was seen in class. And we use a lot of images, a lot of diagrams because of dual coding. So remember that everything that we do here, all of our methodology on this platform is based on those four uh, principles of neuroscience, cognitive neuroscience that I showed you before, that have been proven to work and to help students learning. Actually, we have published, that's pretty cool, we have published our methodology in international peer-reviewed scientific journal. So it really helps. I can send you that paper as well. It really has been proven to help students learn. Okay, so you get a bit of information, and then you get to see questions. So we use a lot of GIFs because we also use gamification to make students happier, just more interested, more motivated. You get to see questions, immediate feedback. So the moment they answer something, they know if they got it right, if they got it wrong, which we also know improves learning. And then you also know how many they got wrong and how many they got right. Okay, so several different types of questions. There'll be multiple choice, fill in the blanks, and a bit more of content. Then those you have to put in the right order. I'm not answering correctly here just to show you what it does. And then the very cool thing about that is that we have an algorithm that is in the background here, collecting each student's answers and then selecting new questions based on that. So the idea is that each student will have their own learning path. So based on what they're getting right, what they're getting wrong, how long it's taking them to answer the questions, the platform, the smart algorithm, is selecting new questions to really adjust, really optimize students' learning. Okay, so that's really cool because you could do that manually, I suppose, but it will take you hours. And here is already done for you. Okay, and it really helps students. It's using, like you see, retrieval practice because it's all about answering questions, solving problems, figuring out things. It has the adaptiveness, so it really adjusts the questions to each student and uses dual coding because it has all the maps and images and diagrams, and it also helps students to intercalate and revisit past topics because the platform shows them the grades here, the marks, and then they can always revisit that topic to try to improve the grades, and everything is being marked to you for you. And when you go on your teacher platform, you get to see this very nice full report, detailed report with number of correct answers, percentage correct, best grades, worst grades, most recent, how many trials, time studied, all of that. And it's really useful information for you, your students. Okay, so that's how it works. Let me just show you another one in humanities, in case you wanna, no, actually no, because you're all science teachers like me. So let's see, let's see, physics, for example, because I still have a few minutes here. Let's see, physics here, AP, for example. how it works, but do tell your colleagues of history and geography that we do have things for them as well. So again, it's similar methodology. You have all the contents listed here. And then if you select one, let's do this one, students will get to see the summary with the images and the diagrams, and then they'll start doing the retrieval practice and answering questions, solving problems, immediate feedback, and the platform is keeping track of the answers to suggest and recommend new questions specific to each student to really help them learn the most effective possible. Okay, so the idea here is to, like I said before, to really help students learn and to help you teach, and I teach, and all of us teach. That's it. So let me go back to the main presentation here so you can see my details again. Please do get in touch. This is our website for the project. I would love for you to get to know us a bit more. This is my name, my Twitter handle, and my email address. So if you want any of the resources I mentioned, or if you want more information about our project, please do get in touch. And looking forward to hearing from you. Hope you enjoy the rest of the conference. Bye-bye.